Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to thank God for this opportunity, for giving us this time to say a few words. It's so good to be back at PPCC and to be able to attend service in person after being away for the last year. What a year 2020 has been. Such a strange year to be away from our home, from our family and friends, and from the comforts of familiarity. The one we can both admit that was a great year for us to grow as husband and wife. For those that may not know, we left Singapore for Toronto in December of 2019, as Esther had a fellowship in critical care medicine. After 12 months, we returned back to Singapore at the end of last month, and we did our 2 weeks of mandatory stay-home notice and were released 3 weeks ago. This is a year that we have so much to be thankful for, and we will not be exaggerating when we say not a single day passed where we did not feel God's love, protection, and blessing.
So from the onset, we were very thankful to God for this opportunity to live abroad as husband and wife, as it's something that Anil and I have wanted to do for a long time. Furthermore, this was also a brilliant opportunity that allowed me to develop my subspecialty in intensive care medicine with additional training, and it was fully sponsored by my hospital here in Singapore. We are also very thankful that God, through Pastor Joshua, gave us words of wisdom in encouraging us to go together as a couple instead of separately, as initially the plan perhaps was that I were to go first and then Anil would join me a couple of months later in the year. But as we all know, the pandemic's first wave soon hit, and with that, all international travel was put to a halt. We found ourselves in complete lockdown for 4 months, from I would say March to about June, and followed by a partial 3-month lockdown at the end of the year. So this was a situation that a lot of my international friends in Toronto actually faced, where their partners and their children were actually not able to join them for the entire year. Hence, we are very thankful that we had each other during this time. We are also thankful for the opportunity to grow together and becoming more independent as a couple, even if it's with the most mundane tasks like cooking and cleaning. And I think some of you have heard me say this, but Anil has become an excellent house husband. Dishwashing, hoovering, ironing, all can. But jokes aside, I'm very thankful to have him by my side for the entire year, as I know that he had to give up some career opportunities to be there. And with the lockdown, his initial plans of either studying or working in Canada were put on hold as well. And nonetheless, I feel we are still very grateful to God that we had each other, and we trust that it was all part of God's plan.
A few friends have commented that it looks like I put on a few pounds since coming back. The honest truth is I know I have. I'd like to blame it all on the lockdown, and Esther won't be happy with me sharing, but over the course of the year, she's become quite an exceptional cook. Her culinary repertoire evolved from a simple meal on day one to some elaborate preparations towards the end of the year, which I thoroughly enjoyed. However, there were plenty of times when I finished my meal, Esther would ask, would I like some more? And if I replied, no thanks, dear, I'd get a follow-up, do you not like what I cooked? And that, brothers and sisters, is a reason for my new waistline. On a serious note, I'd like to thank God for his provision. I'd like to thank God for giving us the opportunity to cook, which was something that we rarely did prior to leaving Singapore. So,
on the work front, doing a critical care fellowship during a pandemic really meant that I was working in ICUs that were just full of COVID-19 patients that were severely ill. Patients who often had multi-organ failure, they were on life support, etc. It was truly an experience like no other, I guess, from the medical standpoint, one that cannot be replicated from textbooks or from medical journals, mainly as there was no evidence at that time. So everything was really evolving in real time as we managed our patients. It was also a very sobering experience as you realize that there are many things beyond man's control. We have machines, we have ventilators, we have drugs, but really it's all beyond us. And mortality is definitely something that we cannot control. We are also thankful that unlike the other North American counterparts, Canada was relatively more well prepared in handling the pandemic. There was never any outright panic in the hospitals and in the community. PPE and protocols were always available and very strictly followed, and health services were never overwhelmed. As we have shared with some, there was many a time that I would return home from a shift and tell Anil that I probably have caught COVID just by being in the patient's room for hours at end, doing procedures and things. And to be safe, perhaps he should sleep in another room, or he should go to his cousin's place for a couple of weeks. But he always replied that we are in this together, and hence we should stick together whatever happens. And with this, we really thank God for his protection. We never seem to have fallen ill, or perhaps we just had asymptomatic COVID and no one knew.
I thank God for protecting my wife while she diligently worked. I saw her take the challenge of working regular 24 to 26-hour shifts with no complaints and would go to work with a positive attitude. There were plenty of moments I would ask Esther, let's go back home to Singapore. I didn't want her to risk herself, but she made it very clear that coming back before the end of the year was not an option. It was great to see her conviction and resilience over the course of the year, and especially to the tasks that she had on hand. We're also thankful to God for giving us an amazing circle of friends and family in Canada. After the initial lockdown, we were included in many activities, family meals and celebrations, making it truly a home away from home. We also realized that there were many doctors who were also part of Esther's program were finding it very difficult being away from their families. We thank God for allowing our friends to have the comfort in sharing their feelings with us and to develop strong and lasting friendships. We have immense gratitude for God's protection from all danger, which we sometimes take for granted being here in Singapore.
Back home in Singapore, we are also very thankful to our PPCC family for all your prayers, your words of encouragement, and your care packages of familiar goodies, which we very much enjoyed. We are also very thankful that God has kept everyone safe in Singapore during this time, and that compared to other countries, life here is comparatively normal. Lastly, we are thankful to God for granting us journey's mercies as we returned home. Our initial flights were cancelled multiple times, and we ended up bringing forward our departure date by a few weeks. This turned out to be a huge blessing as the day after we flew, a huge snowstorm swept into Toronto and all the flights were grounded. And actually 2 days after we left, the city went into complete lockdown again, and still remains the case. So our flights home via Seoul was smooth and uneventful, and we are thankful to have arrived home safely. I guess we would like to end with Psalms 28, verse 7. The Lord is my strength and my shield. In him my heart trusts and I'm helped. My heart exalts, and with my song I give thanks to him. Thank you.